Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Sporting Cast podcast. I'm your host, Lucas Red. It's a very big week for all Indiana Hoosier fans, and this is what this episode will be centered around. Good luck to the Hoosiers next Monday in the national championship. We are repping number 93, episode 1 of this podcast, Quinn Warren. Go back and watch that episode if you're interested. And this episode will be with another IU alum, Zain. I will be calling him ZP because that is what I know him as. ZP is a good friend of mine. He's a graduate of the sports journalism and media school at IU, and he is now the social media manager for the Texas Rangers. So ZP is going to share a little bit about his journey, how he got into sports, the impact that the IU program made on him, his World Series championship run with the Texas Rangers a few years back, and advice that he has for people maybe in college that are looking to go into sports journalism and media as well. So sit back and we'll hear from ZP shortly. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 12 of the Sporting Cast podcast. Today we welcome Zain Pyarali. Episode 12 brings a lot of fun topics. We're going to start with IU football, but there's also a big journey that ZP's been on, an IU alum, part of the sports media school. ZP worked with a plethora of positions before he got to with the Texas Rangers. He's IU student media member, Indiana Pacers, the Cleveland Indians, which is now the Cleveland Guardians, the XFL, the PGA, and now the 2023 World Series champ social media manager. ZP, what's up, brother? How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, man. It's kind of funny because we text all the time, but I think this is probably like the third or fourth time that we've actually spoken to each other, actually. So it is great to talk with you.
Well, so, for our listeners, take me back to 2021, a cold October morning. We are in Bloomington, Indiana. The Michigan State Spartans, number 7th in the country. I believe they're undefeated at the time, fighting off against the 2-4 Indiana Hoosier football team. The Spartans win. The Hoosiers go off and have a losing season. Now take me to 2025. Where are we at now? And you were at the Rose Bowl last week.
We are riding extremely high. Yes, being at the Rose Bowl was absolutely incredible. You would have told me while we were tailgating for the Indiana-Michigan State game in 2021 that in 4 years' time, 4 or 5 years' time, that I would be at the Rose Bowl cheering on Indiana, I would think, you're absolutely insane. So it's just been an incredible ride as an Indiana football fan. Very jealous that I don't live closer to Indiana to get to more games, but getting to the Rose Bowl was a must. I've always said if for somehow, some way Indiana were to make the Rose Bowl, I will be there. And sure enough, won the Big Ten championship, made it to the Rose Bowl. I was there. It was an incredible experience. A little bit of a damper because of the rain, but didn't rain at all during the game. The only thing it rained was Fernando Mendoza touchdown passes, and that's all that mattered.
Hey, no, Fernando did great. I was fortunate enough to go to the Peach Bowl, carry on the good luck. Now they're off into Miami. So before we start a little bit talk about your journey, we'll just do a little IU football talk because it would be pretty much a sin if we didn't. How are you feeling for next Monday? What are the key factors for you?
I feel absolutely incredible. The key factors are Indiana just playing their game. The entire season, this football team has been mistake-free. You look at the penalty yardage, they don't make any penalties. You look at the mistakes in terms of turnovers. I think Indiana's had one fumble all season long. It was in week 1 against Old Dominion. That game was a little bit sloppy. They've cleaned it up ever since then. Fernando Mendoza hasn't thrown an interception, knock on wood, he threw one in the Big Ten championship game, but that really wasn't his fault. Really, his last bad interception was against Penn State. Ever since then, though, man, he has been absolutely surgical and absolutely clinical. You're talking about a guy who has more touchdown passes than incompletions against Alabama and Oregon in the 2 college football playoff games in the Rose Bowl and the Peach Bowl. If the Hoosiers play their game, they do what they need to do. They are efficient early on and first and second down. They're getting to third and short, and they're able to execute there on third down, and then they're able to open it up deep with deep passes to Elijah Surratt or crossing patterns underneath to Omar Cooper Jr. or what's really taken this offense to the next level the boy Charlie B from Nashville, Tennessee on the deep routes, it'll all be good. And the defense just play their game. Miami has a really good running attack. However, if you look at if you look at Miami compared to Oregon, they actually stack up like really, really similar. Oregon's offense graded out a lot better than Miami's does, and Oregon's defense is slightly better than Miami. So if you're looking at those two factors and just like the metrics of everything, it really shouldn't be close. And I think, that game in the Peach Bowl got away from Oregon really early. Obviously, the pick six on the first play from scrimmage really set the tone for Indiana. You saw Oregon respond with a nice drive to tie it up 7-7. But then once Indiana got that touchdown drive under their belt and then a few mistakes from Oregon, they really just capitalized on it. So Miami can't turn the ball over because Indiana will capitalize on it. But if Indiana just plays a clean game like they've done all season, they continue to execute early on first and second down. They continue to run the ball, have a good run, pass balance. They will win this game by at least 20 points.
What is your any predictions specifically? Like, obviously you said 20 points. Is there a MVP that you're specifically referring to? Is it Fernando or does somebody else take the crown for it?
It's hard to go against Fernando. I think it would be Fernando in the Rose Bowl too if it weren't for Kirk Herbstreit giving it to Pat Coogan in the offensive line, which was very, very, very well deserving. But like I said, you're talking about a guy who has more touchdown passes than incompletions. And if he does that again, it's going to be Fernando. And going and playing in his hometown of Miami, Florida, going and playing against Mario Cristobal, who was high school teammates with his dad. He grew up a mile away from the University of Miami's campus. He wanted to go, thought maybe to go to Miami, didn't end up going there, came to Indiana instead. There was talks in the transfer portal, but man, just the storylines are there. And there's a few Miami guys on this Indiana team, D'Angelo Ponds being one of them. So you got guys on both sides of the ball, Miami guys that are going to be playing, with a lot of passion. It's a national championship. But the mindset that Kurt Cignetti has instilled in these guys is incredible because they are all about not being complacent and they're all about taking it one play at a time. And it sounds so cliche, but they do such a good job at doing that and flushing the good and especially flushing the bad. Even though there really hasn't been much bad, but they are so good at just taking one play at a time. And they're treating this just like another game. They're not treating it anything bigger than it is. Sure, it's in Miami against Miami. You're basically on the road, but this team's been road battle tested the entire year. And it's not like it's going to be all Miami fans. There's going to be a lot of Indiana fans in attendance. It's going to be a blast, and I can't wait for Monday.
So, I'm not going to make any predictions about the score, but I am going to make predictions about my biased episode one guest, Quinn Warren, and his roommates, who are all awesome. Quinn's going to get a tackle. Fernando is going to be the MVP. Charlie is going to make a one-handed catch. Mariano's going to get a sack. And Alberto is going to kneel the last play of the game so he can get in and get a rep. And all five of them will be national champions. So we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this little clip, and we'll go viral from there. But that's my predictions. You heard it here first. Go Hoosiers. So ZP,
amazing to me.
So ZP, the last question I'll leave with you on this before we talk about your journey. When you look back at this IU season, is there a word or is there a play that you kind of like that embodies or like you can think about that really just captures what this magical season's been like?
If there was a play, I think it's the entire sequence of against Alabama when it was early in the second quarter, mid-second quarter, Indiana is up, and Alabama's going for it on 4th and 1. And this Hoosier defense, one, doesn't bite on any sort of fake punt that they tried to run out there. They don't bite on any sort of, false start. They make Alabama burn a timeout. Ty Simpson is lined up off to the edge and then comes under center. They don't flinch. They really don't. And so for Alabama to line up, Indiana to take a timeout, and then they go back out there, and then Alabama tries to draw them offside, and they don't flinch. Alabama has to take a timeout. Then finally, instead of just lining up and running the ball, they go wildcat, try to do this jet sweep. Isaiah Bones-Jones is right there. And I think there was about 7 Indiana defenders that were right there finishing the job. That play right there just completely encapsulates this entire season from the defensive standpoint, because that's what this team is. This is the best defense in the country, and they finish. It is incredible what they're able to do. And, it's like 4th and 1. There's never a doubt we're going to stop you. So, just the fact that entire sequence happened right there in the Rose Bowl, a team so historically dominant as Alabama can't even, feel good about lining up and running the ball on 4th and 1. It's like they going for it that early in the game. They knew that they had to convert that early in the game. And if they didn't, they would be in for, a pretty long day, and they were in for a pretty long day. So when I think back on it, like, obviously it's pretty recent, but I think that play just kind of encapsulates like this entire season and just the hard work and the grit that this team has shown the entire year. That and the final drive against Penn State.
That was mine.
Fernando going 80, getting sacked on the first play. There's a minute 18 left on the clock, and we're just running 4 verts, no timeouts left. He's finding Omar Cooper. He's finding Riley Nowakowski. He's finding Charlie Becker. He then finds Omar in the end zone for a touchdown, the catch of the year, catch of a lifetime. Those two, that from the offensive side, it's like this team is battle tested, and, anything that might come in their way Monday night against Miami,
they're ready.
It's nothing compared to what they've been through.
No, man, I agree. I think the Penn State play embodies what their season is, of people always counting them out. And that was really the first time to me that you face adversity, right? There are always different definitions of adversity, but when you're losing with not much time left in the 4th quarter, they embodied that and led the team down the field. So totally agree.
So, and that was adversity, but that also they faced adversity early on in the season at Iowa. Had to come and have a late touchdown there. They faced adversity against Oregon, where Fernando threw a pick 6, and then they immediately came back, drove down the field, took the lead again. And it's just all these key moments on the road that have been incredible. But yeah, it's been unbelievable to watch that a football team wearing Indiana across the chest is able to do this. So it's been, nothing short of spectacular so far this season.
Take a quick break, a commercial, and this commercial is sponsored by Joel Sosimo's Pizza. We'll go to your Chesterton or Valpo location and say the code Lucas, and you might get a discount on your pizza. Thank you. So, ZP, thank you for being the first honorary commercial break of this podcast show. Welcome back to the fiance. He's getting married earlier this year. So for all you people, wish him a happy good life, some marriage advice in the comments on the YouTube page. But ZP, so IU, you knew going to the school that you wanted to go into sports journalism. Talk to me about that and how you got to where you are today. You have a little bit of a flex in the background with the World Series ring. I'm sure we'll get into that at some point, but you didn't go right to the Texas Rangers. You had quite the pit stops that I mentioned before. Talk to me about what IU has meant to you, how that catapulted your career and everything since then.
Yeah, I mean, Indiana has meant a lot to me. Whenever I was trying to figure out what school to go to. So I grew up right outside of St. Louis on the Illinois side of the Mississippi River. And whenever I was trying to figure out what school to go to, a lot of my friends were going to University of Missouri. They were going to Mizzou. And I was like, man, I grew up more of an Illinois fan, a Big Ten fan than a Mizzou fan. So I was like, I don't really want to go to Mizzou. But then also I was like, and they have a good journalism program. But I was like, I want to go somewhere where I'm like not doing high school again. I want to see different people, right? Meet different people. And so Indiana, the media program there was fantastic. The journalism school was great. And they were just opening up this brand new media school that I was very lucky. My sophomore year was the first year of it. And I'm pretty sure that I'm the first class that got like a full degree from the media school at Indiana University, where like they had some people, like if they were there earlier, like journalism credits and like school of public health or whatever the case may be. But yeah, whenever I was going to Indiana, I was like, okay, I want to go somewhere where I can cover Division I big time sports. And, a conference like the Big Ten, that would be awesome. So, obviously watching the basketball team, and they were pretty good back then. It's been kind of bleak since, but watching the basketball team, I'm like, man, like that would be awesome to be able to go to Assembly Hall and work there and cover games there. So the first time I ever went on campus at IU was February 2013, and my friend, his dad took him for Indiana, Michigan basketball. And that was number 1 Michigan against number 3 Indiana. And that was the team with Cody Zeller, Victor Oladipo, all those guys that were on that team. Against Michigan team, it was like Trey Burks and Mitch McGarry and Tim Hardaway Jr., those guys. And he had 2 tickets. And so him and his dad went, but he brought myself and another one of my friends along with us. And his dad gave us money and was like, all right, see if you can get a ticket, like scalp a ticket from, someone selling it on the street. We tried. Nobody was budging. It was college game day. It was an incredibly huge game, like huge for the Big Ten, huge for just national rankings. So we didn't end up getting a ticket, but then basically my buddy and I, we just got sent off into Bloomington, Indiana, amongst all the college kids. We were 16 years old time, and we found a place to watch the game. Turns out that place was Malibu Grill in Bloomington. They had a TV on, so like we were sitting there. I had no idea what Malibu Grill is at the time. Turns out it's a pretty nice restaurant down there in Bloomington. And then but I was just like, man, like this place is awesome. Like look at all these college kids. They're having an awesome time. Like the basketball game is just absolutely got everybody fired up. And so, having that experience, I was like, man, like that place was super cool. And then whenever I was, actually going on college visits and whatnot and actually like exploring the campus, I was like, this place is the place for me and just everything that it offers. So, it all started at Indiana.
So when you're at IU, you did a various amount of things. Talk to me about that. Was that something that you were required to do because of your major, or was that something that you decided to just get more involved in what you were trying to do?
Yeah, so it's actually not something that you're required to do at all. So my first week there, I knew I wanted to write for the student newspaper, because going into college, I thought I want to be a beat writer. I want to, work for a newspaper website, cover a team in that regard. So I went to the student newspaper, and they're like, and I was like, hey, like, do you, I'm an incoming freshman, have some sports knowledge, journalism background. Do you have any open beats? And they're like, yeah, we have the field hockey beat open. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'll go to the field hockey games and cover the team. I kind of know field hockey. My high school had a field hockey team. There's actually a girl from my high school who played for Indiana, so that actually made it a lot easier and with field hockey coverage. But yeah, it was just kind of like going into it, and I did a good enough job where I was able to work my way up to covering baseball as a freshman in the spring. And then sophomore year, I was a sports editor, and then covered men's soccer as well, and then covered men's basketball my second semester of sophomore year. So it was kind of just like a natural progression, but all of it was because I wanted to take advantage of what was being offered to me. So the student newspaper was being offered, the Big Ten Network Student U broadcast, the radio station, the TV station, all of these things are being offered. And so whenever you're doing your classes, in the media school, like they are just teaching you about everything in terms of, media, journalism, whatever the case may be. But, if you're just doing the classes, but you're not doing anything on top of it, like why, what's the point really? Like you have to kind of go out there and, show and prove yourself. And then also like, if I was just doing the classes, I wouldn't be able to go to all these games and cover all these events. So like that was the main thing for me, is like, man, like I want to be at Assembly Hall watching Indiana basketball. Like I want to be in the baseball press box and like covering the baseball team. So like that was kind of my goal. And like knowing that if I did that, that would help me, set me up for a job later on in sports, whatever the case may be.
You didn't want to be at the Malibu Grill for those games?
Hey, Malibu Grill's a nice restaurant.
Yeah, no hate. It's good. I've been there once. No, so what is your advice to maybe people in the IU sports media program right now, or another university? Just like you said, you want to take advantage of what's being given to you. How has doing that helped set you up for success now, just from a connection standpoint, a practice standpoint of getting, reps under your belt? what's that impact made then, and your advice should why to do it now so it will help you in the long run?
Yeah, I mean, I think the great thing is if you're at a school like Indiana or any of these, major D1 schools that have all these great sports, is that there are athletic departments that are, they want these student interns. And there's so many positions open where it's like you get in with the athletic department, you get in with the student newspaper, TV station, whatever it is, and you're able to cover these games and work these games and just get all of this experience. So like whenever I was in college, like I did 2 years at the student newspaper, and I was like, man, like I don't want to just handcuff myself to writing. Let me go and try TV and do on camera stuff. So then I kind of learned to do that. And then I kind of went into podcasting a little bit more and, broadcasting and stuff like that. So I think the best advice I give is just take advantage of all the opportunities that are given to you, because these colleges, they want students to work for them, and it's a ton of valuable experience and you will learn an absolute ton. So if you get in, freshman and you're kind of at the bottom, but then by the time, you're a senior, you are probably managing a group of freshmen. So it not only helps you kind of learn all throughout, but also by the end of the year, probably getting some management skills on top of it. So, and yeah, the amount of connections that I've had from Indiana, it's just the classmates that I had that are now doing other great things. It is, it's fantastic. The friends that I have that are all like in sports, but just even, making connections with different people from other schools too. Cause like we play, Michigan in basketball, and then like we're talking with the people that are doing the student newspaper at Michigan, and then like, oh, that's a connection from down the line. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's really cool just to kind of like be there and kind of get intertwined with stuff. But then also, you're a student, you're part of student media, but then there are actual reporters that are working for Indy Star or whatever the case may be. That is their full-time job. They're covering the team. So like making those connections with those people, so that, you're able to, whenever you're looking for a full-time job, they might be able to help you out. And I was able to get help from one of my professors, landing my first, job out of college that way as well.
Nice, man. No, so you graduate IU. Talk to me about kind of the experience outside of the IU as well. I know you were with the Pacers. I think that was during college, right? And
it was kind of towards the end of my college. I graduated in December. I started with them in October. So it was like right before graduation and right after graduation.
How's that experience?
It was great. So with the Pacers, I was the social media specialist is what the job was. So originally I wanted to do on-camera broadcast stuff. So I applied for a job doing just game recaps, like a game reporter essentially for their website and their socials. I didn't get that job. It went to somebody that was way more qualified than I was, like someone that actually worked for like NBC Sports Network, and like she was phenomenal. And so whenever I found out that I didn't get the job because they went to her, I was like, I can't fault that.
Tip your hat.
But yeah, real. But they liked me enough where they offered me this job as a social media specialist. And then they're like, whenever she's not at the games, like you can fill in and be the reporter. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, social media wasn't really on my radar because whenever I went to college, social media and sports wasn't really a thing. Mm-hmm. And then once I graduated college, once going through college and once I graduated college, it became much more of a thing. And now it is just completely taken off to a whole new level. I feel like kids that want to go to college or kids that go to college want to do social media. And that's like the number one thing. So I learned how an NBA team, how a professional team operates on their social media on game days. And that was huge because I had never seen that before. So I was just a tiny cog in their big system that they had. And, it just gave me the experience of working for a professional team, stacked upon all the knowledge that I had gotten, just covering teams from newspaper to TV to radio, website, all this stuff, just kind of stacked on top of it. And it really just gave me that professional experience.
Then you go over to Cleveland, the XFL. I know those were kind of short experiences due to just an internship in COVID. But, I know you as well from the PGA side because, correct me if I'm wrong, that Tiger Woods, Charlie Woods little TikTok video, you are one of the original creators of that video. Is that correct?
I did do that, and I forgot all about that. So thank you for reminding me about that.
I shout out to people. I support. I have to live up to the podcast name. So
Yeah.
and correct me if I'm wrong again. To me, that was kind of one of the first things that maybe was viral in your career. I don't know if there's something beforehand. What was that experience like? Because it's a very cool video, which I'll drop it in this podcast as well.
Yeah, no, that was really cool. And so whenever I was with Cleveland, it was great because from the Pacers, I was just a small part of their big machine. When I go to Cleveland, I'm one of two people that are doing the social media, and I learn an entire baseball season and kind of way more hands-on and every day. And then after that, being able to go to the XFL, working for my hometown St. Louis Battlehawks, that was fantastic because it was just like this upstart football league. No one really knew anything that was going on. We're just kind of like throwing stuff at the wall, seeing if it sticks, and just having fun with it. And all the players that were there were just really excited to just be playing professional football in some capacity. So they were all super great. Shout out Marquette King. He's my guy. And then COVID happened. So then I'm kind of, in limbo and go to the PGA Tour. But what was really cool about the PGA Tour was that I was able to kind of like jumpstart their TikTok a little bit. And it was kind of right around whenever TikTok and sports teams were kind of jumping on it, and like there weren't any rules in terms of like copyright and stuff like that. It was just kind of like a free for all. So whenever I went to the PGA Tour, there's I think 5 other people that had the same title as me, and obviously it's a big operation, but I kind of took it upon myself to like manage their TikTok and kind of grow it to a new level. So yeah, whenever things like that would go viral, it's like, it was really cool because like, oh man, like this is sweet. Like all these millions of people are saying it. And I don't know, like if I kind of get used to it, and it's kind of just like, it's kind of crazy that like I'll send posts out that, have the ability to reach like 1 million people. Like I don't really think about it because it's just like, it's the internet. But like, yeah, whenever you kind of think back on it, it's like, oh yeah, like these words that I'm typing, like this edit that I'm doing, like there are thousands of people that are going to see it and are going to judge me on it. So 1, I better not make a mistake. And 2, like it better be good, because if it's not, or something's wrong with it, like you will hear from it in the comments. So, but yeah, really cool for that, the kind of TikTok rise there with the PGA Tour. And yeah, that's kind of where I found my niche over there with golf.
And now here you are repping the polo overshirt. You got some nice memorabilia in the background, the Texas Rangers. That's kind of how Ashley really kickstarted our friendship. We're at this IU game. He tells me he works for the Rangers. I talk about Kumar Rocker and Jack Leader, who were in the minor leagues at the time. And I could see he was very proud of whoever this random guy was. He's like, this guy knows ball, or at least a little ball. But no, talk to me about getting to the Texas Rangers. I know that's been a big part of your life. That's kind of, been fortunate enough to go to a game with you. How did you get there? What's the experience been like? And just tell me about that. And the World Series for that matter, of course.
Yeah. So how I got here was just stacked upon, all my previous experiences. So starting with IU, working through student media, getting to the Pacers, being able to get that first, shot with the pro team, getting to Cleveland, another opportunity with the pro team. And then from there, just kind of like stacking good jobs on top of each other. Like there's a short stint with the XFL because of COVID. And then though it was a short stint with the PGA Tour because I wanted to work in baseball. And I was like, this is a job that I'm kind of searching some stability. And I think that this will be a fantastic job to have. So all my past experience, got me there. I knew one person that kind of helped me out whenever I was applying and just get my, resume to the right person. But, I had no doubt that like I was definitely qualified for the job, and doing social media for another MLB team, I think definitely set me up for that. But yeah, what else? Experiences?
Yeah, no, man. I mean, the World Series ring is obviously, tying into with the PGA Tour. I know there's a very, the infamous picture of you and Scotty Scheffler at a Rangers game. I know you've been around some other people, Mike Trout, Micah Parsons. I'm sure I'm forgetting some names. Just talk to me about all the cool things that have come along with your job.
Yeah, so I think it was really cool whenever I got to the Rangers. The Rangers were really bad. My first year in 2021, I got there halfway through the season, and I remember, telling people at the PGA Tour, like, oh, like, hey, I'm leaving, I'm going to the Rangers. And they're like, oh, like, like that's awesome. They're like, are they good? And I'm like, no, they're actually like one of the worst teams in the league. And they're like, oh, why are you going there? I'm like, because I love baseball. Like, this is what I wanted to. First year I was there, I lost 102 games. And that season was bleak. But then in the off season, we signed two guys, Corey Seager and Marcus Simeon. And from there, it was just like, oh, like this is awesome. We got two superstars coming in. Like, let's build something. And then, we go out and we're playing, it's okay. Manager gets fired. We lose 94 games that year. So it really wasn't that much of a step up. But then you move on to 2023, and in the offseason, you find out that Bruce Bochy is managing your team. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like Bruce Bochy is managing the Texas Rangers. Like, I get to go to work at the same place with future Hall of Famer Bruce Bochy. And then fast forward a few months, Jacob deGrom signs with the Texas Rangers. Like, Jacob deGrom is a Texas Ranger. And then a little bit more under the radar, Nathan Eovaldi signs with the Rangers. And it's like all the pieces just start to come together. And whenever 2023 started, I think it was awesome because like I knew this team would be a lot better than it was the previous year, but like I did not think that they were going to win the World Series. But then whenever the season actually started and got off to this super hot start, we started the year 40-20 in our first 60 games. I'm like, this team's going to go to the postseason and we are really good. And I remember telling some of my coworkers, I'm like, do you realize that this is the best Rangers team of all time? They're like, what? Really? You think so? I'm like, yes, this is the best Rangers team of all time. Fast forward a few months later, win the World Series. And I go back to my buddy. I'm like, hey, do you remember when I told you this was the best Rangers team of all time? But the experience that I've gotten to have from, going to Arizona for spring training and just interacting with our players has been fantastic. Going on road trips and just being able to see different cities and just kind of like see how a big leaguer lives and their lifestyle is pretty, insane. The private planes and the nice hotels that they stay in. It's been pretty remarkable, but yeah, just kind of being able to be a part of the team has been awesome. Just been able to have a lot of really cool experiences in terms, Scotty Scheffler throughout the first pitch, got to follow him around wearing the green jacket. You mentioned like Micah Parsons throughout the first pitch when he was with the Cowboys, and like Mike Trout, like specifically like wanted to go say what's up to him. So he was over there. But yeah, just like seeing different, baseball giants in person, like literally giants like Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani, and watching them play. Got to see Aaron Judge's record-breaking home run that happened in 2022. It was at Globe Life Field whenever that happened. So that was cool just being to ever watch history with that. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there's been a ton of other, really cool celebrities and people that I've met, but it's great because like I kind of take the same approach to our players where it's like people are like, oh man, like you get to talk with Corey Seager or, whatever, like all these guys and stuff like that, Jacob deGrom. And it's like, yeah, but they're just people, and you just have to treat them just like people because, if you treat them anything more than that, then that's wherever you're kind of in this industry. It's like, okay, that's where it's like, are you a fan or are you a professional? So just having these conversations with them. But then now that I've been there for 5 seasons, this will be my 6th season coming up. It's really cool because I've kind of like established myself there so that now whenever I'm getting older and then our players are just getting younger. So like you get a guy like Wyatt Langford and Evan Carter coming in and like you kind of get to see them from the beginning. You get to establish your relationship with them from the beginning. It was great that Corey Seager and Marcus Simeon came in and I was already there, but like, a little bit tougher whenever you're coming into the team and there's guys that are like, okay, who are you? You know what I'm saying? But if it's like you're there from the start, able to build these relationships with these guys, it's been great. And, thinking about like some younger guys like Josh Young, Josh Smith, Jake Berger that we have, just like all super down to earth guys. Brandon Nimmo, who we just acquired this offseason, he is a fantastic human being. Looking forward to working with him. So just the relationships that the small relationships that I'm able to make has been awesome, and just kind of treating these guys just like people and just kind of getting to know them and just having them work with me has been awesome.
Have you caught an experience of yourself maybe fanboying for a slight second on something and you had to almost reel yourself back in?
I will say the not only fanboy. I was okay. It wasn't really like a fanboy, but 2024 we hosted the All-Star game, and I'm walking off the field, and n- n- the machine, Albert Pujols, is walking right towards me. And I grew up in St. Louis. I grew up a Cardinals fan. Albert Pujols is my childhood hero, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's Albert Pujols. Like that's him. Like he might be a little bit older and a little bit more overweight than he was whenever I remember watching him play, but like that's him. I didn't like say anything to him or anything, but just like being able to just be like shoulder to shoulder with him, was pretty incredible. But yeah, I think, not so much like fanboying, but like I definitely, you know, I appreciate all the experiences that I've been able to have in 2023. Like going through the postseason was awesome. We went from we finished the season out west with playing the Angels and the Mariners.
I remember
So
that.
went on the road trip. Yeah, went on the road trip. We're against the Angels. It's like, okay, we might clinch here. Okay, we won a couple games. The magic number was 2. All right, we go to Seattle. All we have to do is win one game, and we're in the postseason. We ended up winning one game. We didn't win 2. The Astros swept the Diamondbacks. They won the division. We were the wild card. And so I thought I was just going to be gone for a week. And I was going to come back to Texas, and we were going to have, a few days off because we were going to have a bye. But no, we took a flight from Seattle to Tampa, which is probably the second longest flight you could get in baseball. The only furthest is probably Seattle to Miami. And yeah, we took a red eye out there, and we were in Tampa, and then we beat Tampa in 2 games. Then we went to Baltimore, and then finally came back home to Texas. The week trip turned into 2 weeks. But man, the being able to be in a clubhouse, a champagne celebration, and the MLB clubhouse was amazing. Was able to be in that in Seattle, and then was able to be there in Tampa as well. And then whenever we beat the Astros in Houston, game 6 and 7 were phenomenal. And being able to be in the clubhouse after we beat the Astros was absolutely amazing. And like, that's kind of what I dreamed of. I'm like, man, like I want to be a baseball player. I wanted to have this champagne celebration. So if I never have that experience again, like I'm so grateful that I was able to have those experiences and just kind of live through it. And then winning the World Series, just a cherry on top, like being able to send a tweet saying the Rangers are World Series champions and just letting millions of people know, as if they didn't know already. But yeah, just being the one to kind of shout that out to the world was awesome. And yeah, just I cried immediately like after it happened, because it was like, man, it ended up being a 179 game season, and just kind of like grinding through it all from start to finish was awesome. And then yeah, just everything that comes after with the World Series, just the rings and just all the celebrations and everything is just, it's truly incredible. And then yeah, just kind of now we're trying to find our footing here with a new manager and just, a couple of new players and stuff like that. So the roster is a bit different, but, confident that we'll get back there. And, our baseball ops are always kind of pushing the right pieces and getting us back to where we need to be and needing us to be competitive.
No, good stuff. We'll get you on maybe after the season to highlight, hopefully at least a postseason berth. Like you said, trade a couple pieces away. Simeon's gone. Nimmo's in, but we'll see what happens. But no, man, I think it's great from what you said. The grind of a 162 plus MLB season, I think, is something that's very overlooked. It's not a 16 game schedule. It's not 82. It's a lot of baseball and traveling. I do remember the video that you sent with the World Series. We were talking that night, and I remember our good friend Michael Jacobucci, our little group chat's going. We wake up the next morning, and I believe you're just getting ready to go to bed. So the night of the World Series celebration. But no, man, I think the biggest thing is, what's your advice for people who are looking to maybe work in baseball specifically? Because I know you said from the get-go that was your sport that you wanted to get into. Any advice that you want to give to people who want to focus on baseball primarily?
Yeah, I mean, I think you gotta love the game. Like seriously, you have to live and breathe the game because, like you just said, it is a long season. So especially if you're doing something in my role where you're having to be at pretty much every home game and like cover a lot of road games as well, like you have to accept like it's a lot. And so if you don't love it, then you're going to be miserable because it takes a lot. But then also at the same time, finding the balance to take time off and, keep your mental health in check is really big. So like finding time to do, step away from, the game and stuff like that. Like the players, like they don't have the luxury. That's why off days are so key because there's so few of them, but they don't have the luxury. No, they go on a 10-game road trip. Like they're there the entire time. But like for me, it's like, okay, we have a 10-game road trip. Like one, if I'm not there, and if I'm stayed back from traveling on the road, like it's a little bit easier. But then also like if we have a big homestand, it's like, all right, I want to be there. I'm going to be there a lot, but like where are some days that I can take off and, just being able to kind of reset stuff like that. Cause you work a lot and like it's the game itself is slow, but everything is super fast paced because you are doing something different every single day. It's not like you're playing a football game where you have a game and then you're able to you win, you're able to pump out content from that. You're able to revisit different things. You win on a Tuesday with a walk-off. Awesome. You have about, 18 hours to celebrate that walk-off before we're on to the next one and it doesn't really matter anymore. So, maximizing that time period on everything. And then, if you have a walk-off on a Tuesday night, but then you play a Wednesday day game, then you have even less time. So, but yeah, it's just like, you have to love the game, but you also have to keep your mental health in check. And just, I think that's the case for everything, but it's a grind and it's a lot of fun, but I've learned a lot of just kind of that work-life balance over the years.
How was making the sacrifice to moving to Dallas, Texas? I know you didn't really know anybody moving down here. You had a college friend, I believe, but What was that like? Was it something that you were very particular on what city you were going to move into, or were you pretty much just open to any MLB position that opened up?
I was open to any MLB position. Honestly, couldn't have asked for a better, position to end up here in Dallas, in the DFW area. Just, a ton of things to do. Met a ton of people. Yeah, I had one of my college roommates. He was working down here, so it kind of worked out. We lived together from the beginning, but, had some other friends that kind of rekindled friendships with, a lot of people that I've met and I'm friends with now that are amazing. Met my fiance down here. So, I would have never met her if I didn't come to Dallas. So that's obviously a huge part of my life now. So I didn't know it at the time, how important Dallas would be to me and how important Texas would, but, now I see myself here for the foreseeable future until, something else happens. So, but yeah, it's great just kind of getting settled down here. And like, it's kind of my lifestyle, my way of living. It's a little bit slower, but also, and there's room to spread out. You're not crammed into a city, but also at the same time, you have that city aspect and there is a lot of people and there's a lot of things to do, but the entire Metroplex is so spread out. You can do something in Dallas and then you can go to, a club or have a nice dinner in Dallas and then you can go ride horses in Fort Worth. You know all about that. So,
Giddy up. Got my Kojo hat.
The experience and just the wide range of things you can do over here is great. And with Arlington being right in the middle of Dallas and Fort Worth, it's great. Middle point and just, fantastic. And just being able to go to the ballpark every single day and work from there is awesome.
What has been the most, obviously, the World Series run, but from just a 162 regular season game, what stadium or experience has been the coolest to you that you look back on? For me, going almost all 30 baseball stadiums now, 22. Fenway's pretty hard to beat. I did love the Pittsburgh Stadium, but, I'm curious on your answer.
So I think it is really tough to beat going into the Green Monster and signing it at Fenway Park. That's not something that a lot of people get to do.
Nope.
I've been fortunate enough to go in twice and sign it twice. The first time I messed up because I signed my name next to a trash can. And so I'll send you, I think I sent you the picture, but I have a picture of me like giving a thumbs up next to my name, like pointing to it. And there's just like this trash can right there. I'm like, what am I doing? And so the second time I went there, I'm like, I'm signing this again in a much better spot. But yeah, being able to go in there, I think that's definitely the best, MLB experience, MLB ballpark experience that I've had. Oriole Park with Camden Yards, also fantastic. That's always a ballpark that I've wanted to go to. And that one checked every single box that I thought it was going to pick, or that I thought it was going to. And also being there for the postseason was, fantastic. The crowd was absolutely rocking. I was getting chirped by a fan being down on the field before the game was starting. And I was just like, I remember because I was down there with my phone getting video of Marcus Simeon walking on to the on deck circle before the game was going to start. And there's a fan saying something to me, about, I don't know if he said, I forget what he said exactly, but he was definitely saying something. And I had my back to him, but I just had this big smile on my face. I'm like, man, I'm getting chirped.
Someone's talking shit to me.
We're in enemy territory. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, let's go. We're going to win this game. Sure enough, we did. We won both of them. Came back home, swept them, and then went on and won 2 more series after that.
Yeah, that was pretty electric. I remember a quick story for the guest. You had tickets for Michael and I to go down to games 1 and 2. I had a coaching conflict at the time, so you graciously offered, hey man, if they get to game 6 or 7, you got a ticket. So here I am in game 5. The Diamondbacks are down 3-1 to the Rangers, and I'm in this weird position where, if the Rangers don't win, well, that means I get to go experience at home. But if the Rangers do win, that means my boy's a World Series champ. So it worked out. Wish it would have maybe been 6, but regardless, it was a cool experience just to kind of talk with you through it and the text chain and whatnot. And how excited and how passionate you are about the Rangers is very admirable. So congratulations again to you guys, and thanks for keeping us along for that, at least Michael and I. No, but as you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area, we're going to start this little segment that we did last week with episode 11 guest Shane Kenny. Best spot to eat in the Dallas-Fort Worth area?
Man, so there's a lot of good restaurants over here. Like if you're talking like tacos, barbecue, whatever the case may be. So there is, it's funny because like I don't really go out to eat a lot. Like I make a lot of food at home and stuff like that. But if you're talking barbecue spot in Arlington, Hurtado Barbecue, fantastic. And then just there's a local spot near where I live here in Dallas. It's called Birdie's, and it just opened up not too long ago, but just fantastic vibe, outdoor seating, fantastic food. And that's the great thing about Dallas is that like you can really just go anywhere, and they have like some sort of patio, some sort of, just hangout spot that you can go to. Those are definitely 2 spots that you have to hit up. And then also shout out in Arlington, there's a great Lebanese food place called Prince Lebanese Grill. I took you there.
Yes.
That?
Yes, it was fantastic.
Fantastic food. And yeah, shout out to my boy Aziz. He's running it over there. So it's been featured on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives like back in the day.
Guy Fieri was there. The picture with him.
Guy Fieri was there. If it was good enough for him, it should be good enough for anybody. But yeah, great food. Like kind of, it's in an old Sonic, so it really is just it's a dive. But yeah, no, it's an awesome spot and definitely one of my top spots in the area.
No, your boy was chill. I remember he was on College Game Day sometime after that.
He chefed it up for College Game Day, man. He made him like an entire big steak and everything. Like, yeah, so they did College Game Day, the College Game Day meal for the Big 12 championship. So that was pretty cool. And just being able to go there, it's another experience that I was able to have, just kind of like being backstage during College Game Day and all this stuff. And that was before Indiana was good at football. So I was like, College Game Day has never come to Indiana.
Yeah. See, we're going to see photo evidence of you in potentially not IU gear, but it's okay. We will not hold it against you.
I was neutral that day. It was like Kansas State was playing in the Big 12 championship. I don't know.
Colorado, maybe? I can't remember. But
Kansas State, I don't know. I forget. I think it was Kansas State, but yeah, Kansas State Baylor. I think that's what it was.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
So ZP, when you kind of reflect on your career, I know you said for at least the foreseeable future, your goals are to stick with the Texas Rangers and see how that works out. But when you reflect on what you've done and how you've gotten to this point, who has been your supporting cast? Who's really made an impact? Whether it's some professors like you mentioned at IU to help them get you a first gig, anyone in positions since then, whether it's at the Rangers or anything previously, who's really made an impact and supported you?
Yeah, I mean, from the beginning, one of my professors, Galen Clavio at Indiana, he was fantastic. He was the one that whenever I applied with the Pacers and they offered me the social media job, he was like, if an NBA team is offering you a job at a college, you should absolutely take it. I was like, okay, sure. I don't really know social media, but I'll give it a go. And so, but everything he taught me throughout college was great. Leaning on my classmates, my friends that I had at Indiana, my boy Eddie, who does social media for FC Dallas, kind of helped me get to this point. And then also, a couple of my other friends, a good friend Josh, who does broadcasting for soccer. You can hear him on Apple TV calling MLS games. So yeah, and then as it's kind of evolved, obviously my family, but then also my fiance now has been a huge supporting cast for me, and just being able to keep me or show me kind of the balance between work and life. Because before I met her, I was like, yeah, I'm a single guy. I'm working in baseball. Like, I work 162 games. Like, why would I take a day off? Like, this is it, man. This is the big leagues. But kind of, helping me see that it's not always all about work, and you do have to work hard, but also just kind of finding the balance between work and life, and just having a life outside of sports a little bit. Yeah, it's been really good and really eye opening to me. So the supporting cast has evolved throughout the journey, but it's been great the entire way.
ZP, thank you for sharing your story. Best of luck to your Hoosiers next week. I know you'll be cheering live from Dallas. Thank you for sharing your story. We wish you best of luck in the upcoming MLB season. I'm sure you're going out to spring training here in a couple weeks. Ideally, we get you back at the end of the season. If you have any predictions, feel free to share them right now. And just appreciate you again for sharing your story, man.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is great. I don't know if I have a prediction off the top of my head right now, but I'll definitely let you know.
Good.
I mean, you know what? I'll say right now, Wyatt Langford MVP. Why not?
Oh man, we'll get the Kool-Aid out. Hey, I won't hate though. He's a good athlete, good outfielder. So, CP, thank you very much. We will talk to you soon, and thank you for being episode 12.
Yeah, brother. Thanks.
Cheers.